We are soon going to start the panel discussion right away. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद all the dignitaries. The theme for this session is accelerating domestic manufacturing and exports. माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के आह्वान आत्मनिर्भर भारत ने हम सबको उत्साह और गर्व से भर दिया है. वोकल फॉर लोकल, लोकल इसने कई मील के पत्थर स्थापित कर लिए हैं. The session will be chaired by Shri Rajesh Kumar Pathak, IP and TAFS, Secretary TBD. The moderator will be Group Captain Dr. R.K. Narang, Director Strategic Initiation DFI. और जो हमारे पैनलिस्ट्स हैं वो हैं श्री अंकित मेहता, को-फाउंडर एंड CEO ideaForge, श्री निहार वर्तक, को-फाउंडर एस्टेरिया Aerospace, श्री रुद्र श्रीराम, जॉइंट प्रेसिडेंट DCM श्रीराम, श्री मिलन हंसालिया, को-फाउंडर Xenhester इनोवेशन, श्री श्रीनाथ कोप्पा, मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर प्रोलिम सॉल्यूशंस इंडिया. आप सभी से निवेदन करते हैं कि कृपया मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें. I extend a very warm welcome to all the esteemed dignitaries on the dais. And now I hand over the floor to the chair for the proceedings. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Group Captain Narang. I am Director Strategic Initiatives, Drone Federation of India. This is going to be one of the most important session in my view, because I believe the manufacturing is the IP, or manufacturing is the high value creation capability creator of a country. And we are in a session where we have innovators, manufacturers looking up to make India a manufacturing hub. Innovation and manufacturing take a country to a higher level of industry and a higher level of economy. So we are with a very, very empowered panel. We have with us Chairperson Shri Rajesh Kumar Pathak, Secretary Technology Development Board. So I would like to say a few words, and then I'll have some questions for Sir to initiate. Last year we had Indian Prime Minister handing over indigenously designed, developed and manufactured drones to the Indian Army. These drones were designed after these companies had competed with global manufacturers. And these drones had performed at the extreme climatic conditions of India. So it was a big transformation in Indian drone manufacturing industry. So we have an industry which can perform and deliver. And future of drone manufacturing, as we have to prepare for urban air mobility, advanced air mobility, and of course, there has to be more manned and unmanned integration of drones in future. So we are at a critical juncture of history. Our aspirations are very big. We want to become a drone manufacturing hub, a drone hub by 2030. And these 8 years are going to decide whether the drone will be a transformational technology or not. But before we talk about it, last 1 year has been year of policy reforms. Now comes the second step, technological initiatives. And we have a chairperson to lead this panel. In America, there is a FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, which runs the technological initiatives. In Europe, it is the ASA. Now, India needs a similar technological initiatives. And those technological initiatives will decide the trajectory of drone hub by 2030. So I would request you to guide us how India can become a drone technology hub, sir.
First of all, let me congratulate Drone Federation of India and their entire team for conceiving this महोत्सव, जिसका उद्घाटन खुद माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने किया है. और उन्होंने अपने वक्तव्य में पूरे इस इंडस्ट्री का एक टोन और टेनर जैसा आने वाला समय बताएगा, उसकी दिशा निर्देश उन्होंने तय कर दिए. अब हमें इस पूरे इकोसिस्टम पे काम करना है और ये ऐसा इंडस्ट्री है जिसमें एक मंत्रालय का ये काम नहीं है। इसमें ये अक्रॉस मिनिस्ट्रीज आपका इसके रिपरकेशंस हैं और इसके कोऑर्डिनेशन की ज़रूरत है। एज द प्रीवियस पैनलिस्ट eminent person from different field, they have talked about so many issues, aspect as far as science and technology is concerned, as far as their usage is concerned, or their defense secretary said about this drone show on 29th of January. I want to add something somewhere. My organization name gets somehow omitted from this entire credit when it comes to, by the way, it is Technology Development Board who has supported Botlab Dynamics for manufacturing this 1000 drone. So around 2.5 crores we have given to them. And it was really challenging task to for them to perform, and that too at a national event. So you can imagine the kind of stress they must have undergone through. And accordingly, swiftly in the Technology Development Board, we did it very fast. In fact, record time, because we didn't have time. Already 29th January was the date announced, and we proceeded like that. And they have created a really good, the kind of mesmerizing show, you can say. I was there, I witnessed that, and how people reacted to it. खुद माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इसको कहा कि अद्भुत शो था। ये हमें दर्शाता है कि आप इंडिया में कैपेबिलिटी की कोई कमी नहीं है, चाहे वो कोई भी फील्ड हो, ड्रोन फील्ड हो या एनी फील्ड हो। हमारे पास जो हमारे साइंटिस्ट हैं, हमारे पास जो इंजीनियरिंग ग्रेजुएट्स हैं या इंजीनियरिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, रिसर्च डेवलपमेंट इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, इनके पास कैपेबिलिटी की कोई कमी नहीं है। पॉइंट केवल इतना है कि इस सबको इकोसिस्टम को साथ में लाना है। आज ड्रोन एक नया तकनीक है लोगों के लिए, जिसकी यूसेज हम देख रहे हैं एग्रीकल्चर से लेकर के सिक्योरिटी में। अभी कुछ लोगों ने इस बात की कंसर्न भी जताई थी, और सही भी है कि जब आप इस ड्रोन को डेवलप करते हैं और स्पेशली जो सिक्योरिटी पर्पस से कभी इसका मिसयूज हो जाए, जब जैसा उन्होंने अस्थाना साहब कह रहे थे कि 30 मिनट्स जो उनके साथ गुजरी कैसे काउंटर ड्रोन टेक्निक। तो अब मैं आपको ये बताऊं कि अभी हम कुछ दिन पहले आईआईटी पटना में थे, वहाँ एक यंग स्टार्टअप कंपनी जिन्होंने इस पे काम किया है, ऑलरेडी इसकी टेक्नोलॉजी को इन्होंने डेवलप किया, बोथ हार्ड किल एंड सॉफ्ट किल। दोज टेक्नोलॉजी ऑलरेडी बीन डेवलप्ड बाय देम, एंड आई एम टोल्ड दे हैव गॉट एन ऑर्डर फ्रॉम आसाम पुलिस। सो प्रोबेबली ऐसा नहीं है, काम हर एक फील्ड में हो रहा है। अब रही बात जो आज हमारा थीम है आज का, कि इसको कैसे हम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब बनाएं, 2-3 बातें ऑलरेडी बहुत ज़रूरी है इसको समझना। जो हम बार बार पिलर्स की बात करते हैं, डेफिनेटली देयर आर 3 डिस्टिंक्ट पिलर, देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट। वन इज पॉलिसी। पॉलिसी इज बीइंग टेकन केयर ऑफ बाय सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्ट्री, दे हैव रिलैक्स इट, बट दैट पॉलिसी वाज टू यूज एयर स्पेस। There has to be a series of policies, one requiring that manufacturing, their quality, as rightly principal scientific advisors has said, to make whatever we are making it is a world standards. This is one in policy parallels. Second is Science and Technology Ministry, where innovations is there. We are from DST, and entire science ecosystem is with you. We will be helping you. In fact, in my own organizations helps all young startups or anybody engaged in any kind of indigenous technology, a drone, anybody, if you are developing in India, it's always indigenous technology only. So you come to us, we will give you very soft financial support, which will not impediment you to get your dream achieved. And we will be with you, will giving our technical and financial supports both. And third and most important is their usage. today, that is where my panelists sitting left and right to me, they will speak about. One is manufacturing, and second is its services. Like DRAS, drone as a service, we all have seen how its usage is there. So that is one big aspect which you have to look into. One is manufacturing. From manufacturing capability, still I am told, and maximum the kind of things we are doing in India, basically we are importing all those equipments from outside and we are assembling it and saying that is making India. It is not the things we are looking for in 2030. If we have to make India as a manufacturing hub, we have to manufacture even screw to the final output. So there may be many components. So there can be many startups, there can be many company or industry or you say entrepreneur can come and do that. So let us manufacture this at world standards. So a standard to be developed, or if it is available then fine, or let us develop it and manufacture to that quality where the world is coming to you and get it from you. In fact, I can tell you just one anecdote to end my opening remarks. बाकी तो आप लोग बताएंगे. Just day before yesterday, Technology Development Board has signed a financial support agreement with one medical company, Panacea Biotech, and there we use our own indigenous developed S-band magnetron technology by CSIR Shri lab. And this company has taken it and they are manufacturing some sort of equipment that also initially we funded called Siddharth. So they are going to use this technology to even give precise radiation for 2 mm brain tumors. उसके लिए भी use होगा, and we are the world's 3rd country to achieve it. As अजय जो सेक्रेटरी डिफेंस है उन्होंने कहा कि जो हमने ड्रोन शो किया we were the 4th. Now with this initiative we are the 3rd after UK and Japan. No country has done it. So we are in Technology Development Board, Department of Science and Technology is doing a cross sectors, so various projecting in the at the cost of even risk, we are absorbing it, we are trying to support. And I am sure with this manufacturing in drone, a big initiative will be taken by industry, and you all are welcome to DST and Technology Development Board for the kind of technical as well financial support. With this opening remarks, I will just conclude, and I will hand over to the moderator.
Thank you very much, sir, for laying down the roadmap for us. Nihar, I come to you. Yes, Indian drone industry has demonstrated their capability to design, develop and manufacture aircraft in unmanned aircraft systems in India. The next challenge is how to make them world class, how to make the larger drones to become really valuable, unmanned platforms. So, where are the challenges and what are the opportunities, if you could, cover in your initial remarks?
Thank you.
Can't hear. If you could.
Is it better? Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, you rightly said, we have come to a point where I think 10 years ago, if you looked at it, there were 2 or 3 drone manufacturers, OEMs in India. But now, if you look outside, out of the 80 or 85, there are about 90% are drone OEMs. So that journey has been fantastic in terms of driving capability, which is a building block for the next step, for building the larger UAV platforms. The learnings that the industry has had from here are what are the building blocks for the next step. In association with that, it is also important, as Sir said, to recognize the components that go into the drones. It's not just about designing the drone itself, every section, right down to the screw and nut, to make sure it is the ideal quality aerospace grade. which thankfully, to be honest, it's there in India because of the previous experience in building larger manned aircraft platforms, especially in the defense space. Now is the time to merge those two to get there where we want to.
Called term civil-military integration. I think drones provide us a space to think about civil-military integration. I think, Nihar, you have really raised a point where we have to use the learnings of manned platform into the unmanned versions. And manned industry is really progressing at a very promising rate. I am personally privy to number of projects. STT-40, IJT, LCA Mark 1, Mark 2, AMCA, ALH, LCH, LUH. And, then of course we have UCAV program. So Indian industry is poised to go through the second aviation manufacturing revolution. The first one I consider is the 1950s and 60s, when we made about 8 to 9 platforms were designed in India, if you go through my book. So now I come to Ankit. I would like you to, you have demonstrated how you could compete globally when you had to deliver military drones. But now if you imagine you have to expand it to outside India, what do you think are the opportunities and challenges of meeting aspirations of global customers? How to develop those qualities? How to develop those supply chains? These are the questions our future customers would be looking at. If you could just cover those in your remarks, in addition to your initial remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Group Captain Narang, for that excellent question. I think our experience in delivering these systems, and in India, it's been a very unique ecosystem from day one, that we always had global competition come and compete with us in India. So I don't recall not competing with global platforms from day one. And most tenders that we used to participate in used to be where Israeli products and European products and others used to be there. So therefore, there is a huge opportunity in my view that from whatever we have learned by competing with them here and making sure that we are able to deliver to the specifications of our users, we've actually pushed the boundary of what a user should expect. In many cases, the Indian specifications are actually harsher than the specifications of platforms that are already existing in the rest of the world. And therefore, we have a very unique opportunity in India that what we've built here, and we are experiencing this firsthand, is actually looked upon as something valuable. And when we go out there, when we talk about the kind of performances our systems do, the kind of operational ranges in terms of temperature, altitudes, in terms of environmental conditions that our systems can survive, people do find a lot of value in what we are promising to deliver. And therefore, I feel that it is important for us to go out there and showcase the amount of hard work that part of the industry has put in over the last 10 plus years in building platforms of that quality, and that kind of rigor in our procurement process really make sure that we actually deliver on our promises and not just end up building prototypes. So I think that's something which is very important. Now what is happening uniquely is that we are also getting opportunities to produce these systems in numbers. And as we are producing these systems in numbers for our consumption in India, we are gaining even more confidence that we can actually build these at a reasonable scale, at a reasonable pace as well. And we are also able to indigenize a lot of those components that we are speaking about comes from outside. A lot of this actually getting indigenized, because unless there is demand, there is very little incentivization in the component ecosystem to deliver that capability here. So I feel that we need to go out, and to go out, one of the most important things is that we need to, and this I have repeated in many forums over the last few weeks as well, that our export regime for drones has to improve significantly. What has happened is that India is a signatory to Wassenaar arrangements, and under those we have to control drone exports as a dual use item. However, there are other countries who have export restricted systems, but the process of clearing is more predictable. In India, it can take anywhere between sometimes 1.5 months to all the way up to 6 months plus to clear one application. So if you can't export, the environment today is not very conducive to waiting for, somebody to get a system outside. So I think if we can improve some of those processes, we will see a lot of traction building up. And one of the other things we have to note is that particularly the West is used to a higher level of automation on the tech that they're using, particularly because the cost of labor is extremely high. So they expect a lot more automation from the platforms. So I think if we can work towards greater automation, both in terms of the operations of the drone, as well as the outcomes that the user gets, we should be building platforms. The base is very, very well set. Our geography has ensured that we build platforms that can survive almost everywhere. And now that we are gaining more and more experiences in delivering applications, we should be able to do well outside as well.
What about supply chain? And one more issue I would like to, in short, comment on is, you have a lot of experience in developing technologies. Where do you see is the private industry can do it on its own? And where do you see is the role of the government? So sir raised, there are multiple agencies will have to work. So in short, if you can tell us that this is where the industry needs them and what kind of support they need.
So supply chain is a very country-specific issue as well, particularly on the government side, wherever people are procuring systems, they do not want systems to be delivered with active components from any of the listed entities. So you have to de-risk your supply chain from those entities. You have to make sure that you're only buying dumb components as much as possible from countries which are, in a way on the entity list. That's primarily talking about North America, Europe and other countries, right? So that is something you have to ensure, and therefore you have to start building that kind of network. You have to, of course, indigenize, because India is nowhere close to being on anybody's entity list. So I think if we can indigenize, that's also going to be useful. Supply chain itself is actually a little challenged in the drone industry, because most of the suppliers are scaling with the demand. And because everyone's building unique systems, it's not obvious that everyone will have those same components. So therefore, that part is something which you have to bear a little bit more patience with. And it's been hard in this, during the pandemic, to deliver on these kind of systems.
My second point I'll ask later. I come to Mr. Rudra. You took over a company, a drone company. Not took over, you had a stake, you have a stake. So, which is, new trend we are seeing in Indian way. And it's emerging technology, and, you going into startup and then investing. What was the thought process of going for such an investment and, startup?
Firstly, thank you for having me at this discussion. One of the biggest reasons for this investment was the synergy between the two companies. Our company has a legacy, a very strong legacy in Make in India. Before Make in India was just a very popular hashtag on social media websites. Making in India is something that we've done for 5 generations. I'm the 5th generation making in India. Actually, the reason that we went in for this investment and subsequent technology partnerships, it's one way to jump the technology timeline of not having to go through the grind of starting from zero, because we perceive that this industry was going to and is blowing up as we speak. We feel we would have spent a lot more time in very basic grassroots level R&D, which has already been done, saturated and is easily available, just from anywhere now. The other thing is that our partners also are very forward thinking. They're always working 6 months ahead, a year ahead on what is new in the industry and in their atmosphere and their conditions, they have a lot more active use at this point, both for strategic as well as civilian reasons. So, we're working together. It's not only an investment from us to them, but it's also bringing technology, as we talk about bringing technology to India, without having to really go through a lot. But I will comment on that one point about the exports that was touched upon. We are viewed to become and take over from one of our neighbors as an industrial hub due to various sanctions and policies put up against them by various countries. Better to stay a little off the names. This is the time to grab that opportunity, whether it is for a simple nut or bolt being used in our industry as the drone industry, or it is a little more critical in terms of carbon fiber or structural material, or going one step ahead into motors, propellers manufacturing. This is a great opportunity for MSME sector to, without very large investments, to become a part of the unmanned aerial solution ancillary industry, which also has to grow as we all grow, because we cannot grow if they don't grow. It's similar to like an automotive industry. If today your automotive ancillary industry collapses, you're going to have no cars to sell, and we can see that with the semiconductor issues that are happening in that industry. So while we talk about the pillars, we have to help them out, and policy is great, but actual policy for the smaller companies and the smaller startups for component manufacturing would be highly recommended to support this overall bubble.
Can I just quickly seek your view? We banned import of drones, but not the drone components. Does it have a relevance, or we need to continue with this free import of components?
See, as per the policy, the ban of import of drone is great for just importing and selling. Otherwise, what's the point of doing all of this that we're doing? But you should still allow for R&D purposes, because there may be other people, there may be some technology which we will take a decade to get to, which is easily available and can be brought in.
So here I interject. There should be blanket no ban, or there should be some, just...
No, there is no blanket ban. The blanket ban is to import for sale. I can still import a drone for R&D purposes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
But so components, we come to components.
Components you cannot blanket ban right now.
It's a good policy to work on.
It will suffocate the industry at this point.
So it's a good policy to work on.
But you're right, there will come a time that will have to take a stand that now we are sufficient enough as an industry.
So maybe we go by component when we see this component we are good at. And
not really a blanket ban, because that won't be perceived well in the overall global trade. Okay. But you can have various barriers of entry.
Okay. I get that
and promote the Indian companies.
So that's an indirect way of supporting your industry. So I come to... I think you raised a very important point of building the component manufacturing. And here I come to Milan. Milan, you've been a startup and you are trying to build motors and some other issues. When you cover these things, I would like you to comment on, what are the certification issues, whether we have standards or standardization. You have a taxes, whether they are favorable to indigenous manufacturing vis-a-vis, somebody importing. Could you cover in your initial remark?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Drone Federation of India, for having Xenhester Innovation on the panel. I think I am the youngest one in the panel. Thank you on that part as well. Being Xenhester, we are into drone motor design and manufacturing. So yes, there are a few challenges when we have entered into the segment. There is issues like there is no any certification agencies as of now. Secondly, government is working on the standardization part as well. So standardization need to be done, because when we'll talk about the drone, it is something like hazardous not only for the users but also for the civilians as well. So on that part, standardization need to be done, and this standardization will work like there is a different categories of drones. So each category will be equipped with the different kind of standard for their operations. Government have taken a very good decision on the losing out crucial regulations by operating for the R&Ds. Now drone manufacturers and user events, they can use the open space of India, which was initially blocked by the government itself. If we'll talk about the taxation part, then it is very bad news for us on the taxation part, being a drone motor manufacturer in India. Initially, it was around 28% of the taxation on when we'll go for the import, 18% GST and something 10% customs. But with this new HSN code, drone motors is fall into the new HSN code, which is only for 5% as of taxation. So now there is only 15% tax when we'll go for the import. So I'll suggest government, if they are really looking forward for the Indian manufacturers as a component manufacturer, they should look on this 5% criteria, because being in India with material, we are going for the 18% as of taxation. So even it is something like leveraging position for the existing drone manufacturers to go for the imported products.
So there is a little bit of tweaking required in the taxes, slight difference. So
Yes.
So I think, ladies and gentlemen, we have a daring startup looking at the drone component manufacturing. Now I come to Mr. Srinath Kopa. How does Prolim get into drone equipment? How do you think that drone manufacturing you can contribute? And we can take it to the ultimate goal of making India drone hub.
Yeah, first of all, thanks to the Drone Federation for inviting me. I'm very honored and privileged to be here. To talk about manufacturing for drones in India, the technology behind the manufacturing is where a lot of, I would say, from a technology transfer perspective, makes sense. There are, of course, various drone manufacturers across the world, and we have our own constraints in the country. Like other panelists mentioned, we have to learn from other industries or from the past experiences. So similarly, if you look at, let's say 2030, where we have a goal set, correct? So when we get to that point in time, there would be a lot of challenges from today's perspective in terms of if the complexity of the payload goes up, right? If you're looking at very complex electronic systems that have to be in the sky, then you're looking at possibly having semiconductor-related payloads as well, which will impact from today's perspective. But at the same time, from a technology perspective, as we talk about the future and we try and get more into exports, then there are elements where, from a technology perspective, for example, quality, right? How do you integrate quality across your enterprise so that manufacturing can deliver a good product? Right? How do you bring in integration between your internal manufacturing, your supply chain, the component manufacturers?
So
your
how does your
So we have, yes. So there are technological tools available that can be then used by the manufacturing industry to streamline and make a better product.
Thank you very much. I think we are the manufacturers. They have taken these notes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are late. We are thankful to all of you for bearing with us. We would have liked more time, but we are running behind time. I'll now take the permission from chair to wind up and thank all our participants for being gracious enough to be on the panel and contribute handsomely to the very important topic of making India drone hub by 2030 and manufacturing-led IP-driven drone hub
so that we become a high-value industry of the world. So,
I believe that this interactive session where you have listened to the manufacturer as well as startup company, and from my left I just talked about the difficulties, and right now we have to collaborate with existing technology in the world, technology transfer. At the same time, I also say that let us first and foremost, Drone Federation of India should post to the government, even though I am from the government, but I am suggesting you, drone as a subject should be assigned to some ministry where it should be a single window to you. So for all of your, whether it is taxation issue, whether it is import issue, whether it is a manufacturing of any kind of issues, you should approach to that ministry. I believe this is, as of now, probably it is not there. So that then the ministry will become your hand-holding ministry, and suppose, for example, you need certain technology interventions or some sort of technology requirement, then that ministry will coordinate with the Science and Technology Ministry. If you have facing some problem in, say, uses that drone as a service, like let's say an agriculture sector, so you have the drones but you are not able to do that, then probably the ministry will coordinate with the Ministry of Agriculture. So this is the first and foremost for any budding industry like the drone, which is we are all witnessing it. So this is one. And with times to come, obviously, we have set a target. Target is very stiff. I understand by 2030, we have to become a global hub. As I said in opening remarks, that all of us, not only industry as well, user as well as government, has to come together, work together. Probably one Mahotsav will not be enough for you. Probably you have to educate, you have to carry on your activity, maybe in a quarter, some sort of whatever the best practices are happening. And I can tell you one simple example, what we are doing today from the Science and Technology Ministry. As you are aware, this is relation to the component part. That is very, probably you can think of that. Today we are importing almost all kind of chemicals that are used in India, mostly from my neighbor country. So we have took a call that can we not manufacture, let's say, 75 chemicals, because 75 years is much is talked. And we have identified pharma, agri-tech, and as well as your chemical and petrochemicals. And we are identifying around 25 chemicals each. We are at advanced stage. And say, okay, let us manufacture it in India and import zero. Next maybe some time frame. Similarly, you have, let's say, 100 component related to drone. You please come out with some sort of a solution that, okay, let us, this 10 component, we are capable, India is capable. It is not that your capability is not there. For example, motor. We are manufacturing motors of many kind of vehicles. Can we not do it? Maybe let's say motor by ethanol, may not be by petrol, so alternative solution. So that kind of a step by step and a clear directional approach needs to be devised, and I am sure probably with this Mahotsav as well as your internal discussion, you will come out with a roadmap and present to the government that this is the clear roadmap where we need to move ahead, and then a step by step, maybe year 2 or 3, by just saying that we will be 15,000 crore industry and we will create 1 lakh job. This is our good, and in hindsight, these are the aim we are aiming at. But how to go ahead, it has to be a stepwise approach. And probably this at the end of this Mahotsav and discussion, you may come out with the roadmap. That is what I am expecting. And from TDB, from Department of Science and Technology, I ensure you all kinds of support to your endeavors. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think we have support from Technology Development Board, promising the drone industry. Drone industry would be certainly, sir, approaching you with all those views which we collate and seek your help. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It was a wonderful interaction. A lot of learnings and lessons to take forward. And thank you very much.
हम अपने डिग्निटरीज़ को मोमेंटो प्रेजेंट करना चाहते हैं। आपसे निवेदन है कुछ देर इंतज़ार करें। मैं मॉडरेटर डॉक्टर के नारंग आपसे गुजारिश करती हूँ कि सभी डिग्निटरीज़ को मोमेंटो भेंट करें। As a token of our immense respect for the dignitaries. और ये सुनहरी यादें ड्रोन वाली हम सभी के दिलो दिमाग पर कैद होने के साथ साथ अभी कैमरे में भी कैद हो रही है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। थैंक यू ऑल द एस्टीम्ड डिग्निटरीज, सभी गणमान्य सम्माननीय मेहमानों का, मेहमान स्पीकर्स का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और अब ये जो वक्त है वो है भोजन का, तो कृपया भोजन पर पधारिए। 3 बजे हम लोग वापस यहाँ पर इकट्ठा होंगे प्रेजेंटेशन और पैनल डिस्कशंस के साथ में। तो आप सभी का लंच के बाद हम यहीं पर इंतज़ार करेंगे 3 बजे। धन्यवाद, शुभकामनाएं।